With more and more support, it's looking like Youthberk is the new Leward. And yes, I mean that in every single aspect of the word.
Stand up! Vanguard!
Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we've got some more reveals for the upcoming set 7 set, and today we finally see the new reveal of Youthberk as well as some support for this new form, and it is looking pretty damn spicy but also very familiar to what we've seen in the past. Also, we've got a bunch of new promos and the confirmation of other promos, which looks very exciting, but that's getting too fast ahead of ourselves. So let's first dive into the initial V promos that we have for V Premium. Then we're going to talk about some standard promos for Overdress, as well as some revealed artworks, which also confirm which archetypes are going to get more promo support. And then we dive into the new Youthberk support for Keter Sanctuary. So first off, V Premium, and for V Premium we've got a new Tachikaze promo as well as a new Grand Blue promo. And for Tachikaze we've got this grade 3 heavy armament dragon Fusilier Lader. And Fusilier Lader, as you can see, is a 27k base double critical unit. We've seen these type of cards with Tachikaze multiple times, and that means it does have some restrictions. And in this case, it has the following ones. Continuous, this card cannot be ridden, and when it would be called to the Vanguard circle, it is called at rest. So you don't get immediate value of this card. But then it also has the restriction, continuous a Vanguard circle. This unit cannot stand other than by this unit's ability. So that means it will not stand during the stand phase, and it will also not stand via other effects that allows you to restand your rearguards, like let's say for example Anger Blader. It cannot restand this unit. So keep that in mind. Very restrictive. But then on top of that, it also has the effect auto rearguard circle. At the beginning of your battle phase, if this unit has 3 or more equipped gauges, stand this unit. If you stand this unit, at the end of that turn, retire this unit. So essentially, it's just a big beater with double critical that has a lot of restriction on top of it. I don't think this card is going to be playable because it's way too much investment for almost no payout, if I'm going to be honest, because it also cannot restand by other effects. Even at the very least could be restood by other unit abilities, so not by the stand phase but by other unit abilities, then maybe they would have been useful, but sadly this is not the case. Now moving on to the other promo, we've got the promo for Grand Blue, and this time it's Mick the Ghosty and family, and this means more Ghosty support for Beatrice, and this Mick the Ghosty has the effect, although when the unit is placed on the Vanguard circle by a card's ability during your turn, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Until the end of turn, this unit gets auto Vanguard circle. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked or boosted, retire this unit. Choose one of your units and it gets power plus 10k until the end of turn. So this is another unit that follows the same battle pattern that we see with the other ghosties that retire themselves, and because they retire you can call something with a lower grade thanks to Beatrice's ability. Sadly, there's no -1 card, so there's nothing else to call off of it, but at the very least, this does give you more milling if you don't really mill successfully in the early game, and it can give one of your units plus 10k power. So you can give your Beatrice extra power if she lacks the offensive capability or if your opponent hits a defensive trigger, and this also gives your ladder attacks a bit more oomph, because unlike Steam Maidens where you go into higher grades with more power as you progress your attack pattern, with Ghosties it's the opposite around, because you attack with your higher grades, thus your higher number attacks, and then you go lower and lower and your numbers tater off at the end. With Mick the Ghosty, at the very least you get an extra 10k power that could potentially help you to beat over defensive triggers, but it's still a bit awkward as seeing as Mick is a 5k base, so it's only going to be 20k on a protect 1 marker, which still doesn't beat over a defense trigger. Unless you're going to use it as a booster, maybe that's the case. And because it retires itself, it also is a bit awkward with the potential defensive place of Beatrice, because usually you want to end up on a grade 0 that sticks on the board because it has intercept, and then you have a massive defensive option with the protect marker as well. That said, it is a nice option against control decks, because the deck has an issue against like Kagero, Narukami that can clear your board because they lose that defensive value because they're never going to be able to intercept with it. At the very least, Mick then just says, okay, I'm just gonna put more power on the board because I'm not gonna keep my units anyway, so might as well get at least the maximum value out of that, which can come up in certain matchups. But then it also has another fact which is quite interesting, which is auto from drop. When your Vanguard attacks, If your drop is 10 or more cards, cost counter plus 1 and call this card to the open rearguard circle. So it can recall itself to the field when your Vanguard attack, thus enabling potentially more multi-attacks, because if your opponent's at 5 and they cannot rely on defensive triggers, this is yet another attack you can generate out of that counterblast. But you don't necessarily have to use it that way, because this could, and I mean could potentially be just a way to get your power on your Vanguard a bit higher. Because you could use Mick in the normal attack pattern, so you go to the grade 0, use this as your grade 0 target, and then it retires itself. And then once your Vanguard attacks, you can use its drop zone ability, call to the protect marker, use the effect again, mill 2, get the effect, but also give 10k power to your unit. And you can give that to the Vanguard, thus potentially the Vanguard hits over defensive trigger or just put more pressure. And then Mick will not attack, or at least you're not going to attack with it, thus it stays on the board. You still have the defensive option that you're used to with Beatrice having the grade 0 at the end of the turn. Or potentially you can have 2 grade 0s in the front row that can intercept with more shield. That could also be an option. So it's an interesting card that opens up different lines of play. It could be more aggressive, but it could also be a different defensive option that can also allow your Vanguard to hit over more defensive plays. Because Beatrice is probably, as being the Vanguard and one of the ladder attacks, it could have an issue where it doesn't hit, because it's just 12k. It needs a booster, and if you cannot facilitate a booster, it can sometimes be awkward, especially against a force deck, and with a lot of force decks being relevant now, this could be an issue. And Mick the Ghosty could potentially combat that. But those are the 2V premium promos. We also have Overdress promos. And for standard, we've got 9 promos, from which 3 are reprints, which you can see on this image. Those are the top right cards that you see. We already discussed these promos. They're just going to be reprints, so there's a potential another option to get them if we get the same promo pack in the English format. But let's take a look at the newer ones, because we already see the scale of the bottom right 3 promos, from which one is a new Eugene support card, which is this grade 3. Heavy Bullet of Duststorm, Naofaru. And Naofaru has the effect, act on rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard with Eugene in this card name, cost bind this unit, choose up to 2 normal units other than Sentinel from your drop, and put them into your soul. If your opponent's rearguard was retired this turn, you may put all of the chosen cards on the top of your deck in any order instead of in your soul. So either you get more soul, or you get better calls of your Eugene effect. And and if I remember correctly, we have another card that allows us to stack the deck. So you might see a specific build for Eugene where it wants to bake a specific board every single turn. And with these consistency cards, we might be able to get to that. And the interesting thing is, people have been experimenting with a 5 attack Eugene deck with Espira Ardea, as Espira Ardea is not restricted for Nirvana to have the multi-attack. But the only issue is it's a grade 4, so you need a superior call to the field. Eugene can do that, but it's heavily RNG. With this grade 3, it's less RNG because you can stack 2 Espira Ardeas on the top of your deck consistently, once you see them, of course, and then you can recall them to have 5 attacks every single turn after that point if you can facilitate the soul, because that's quite a burden on your soul, because you need 5 soul of Eugene and then 1 soul for every Espira Ardea, so that's a potentially 7 soul in a single turn. It is potentially doable, but I have my doubts about how good it is. But nonetheless, Navarro gives some consistency to what your superior call or another soul engine. So who knows, this might come up in the future build for Eugene. Now for the other problem that we got a new Gravidia grade 2, which is Gravidia Hadrill. And Hadrill's the effect, auto rearguard circle once a turn. When your meteorite card is put into your order zone other than from drop, cost counter plus 1, choose a meteorite card from your drop, put it in your order zone, and this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So another way to accelerate your meteors. It's not anything new. It's a bit overcosted for a count plus 1 to just get 5k power and extra meteor in your order zone. It's not like Gravidia is struggling with putting meteorites in their order zone, so I don't think this is an actual really good promo card for Gravidia to have. But then we also have another Kairi support card with this grade 2, Mischievous Surge Azumi, and Azumi has the effect, auto rearguard circle. When your Vanguard with Kairi's card name attacks, cost counter plus 1, return this unit to your hand and choose up to 1 Mischievous Surge Azumi from your hand and call to an open rearguard circle. If you call the card, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So this is another option to potentially achieve 5 multi-attacks with Kairi every single time, and it can also give you 4 attacks, but it can also give you 4 attacks on the first grade 3 turn if you do not Persona Ride. which is interesting. It also makes your Vanguard a bit stronger. I don't know how much of an impact this is going to make to the Kairi build, but this is yet another card that allows Kairi to potentially achieve 5 attacks or 4 attacks on the first grade free turn, which can be good if we have enough of these cards to facilitate a very consistent multi-attack engine for Kairi. Now, of course, I was talking about 6 new promo cards for Standard, but the thing is, we only know these 3 new cards by their skill. The other 3 are the new glitter support cards for the remaining 3 ride lines that have glitter mechanics that we haven't seen a new promo card for, which is, of course, Tamayura, Takria, and a new Michi ride line from the latest Lyrical Monasterio set. Now, for anybody that's keeping track with this channel, I've not talked about the Michi ride line so far. The video is already recorded and edited and will be uploaded somewhere in the future, probably later this week or maybe early next week, because I have still a long backlog of other videos that I still need to go over, all the other ride lines that we haven't talked about. But we're gonna get to that at a moment in the future very, very soon. But this confirms that we're going to get a new order promo card for the remaining ride lines. So I'm very curious of what these effects are going to do. So far, the previous orders for the other glitter ride lines have been instrumentally powerful. So I cannot wait to see what this can do for Takria, Tamayura, as well as Michiu, because this can change a lot of things. Now, of course, we aren't here to talk about promos. We're here to talk about the version of Leward, because we have Chronojet confirmed, but before Chronojet, we already see Leward making its entrance within D, because we've got more Youthberk support. And first off, we got 2 new Grade 1s. Yes, we go the same direction with Grade 1s being a major player in this ride line. Because first off, we got Wayward Therapy Angel, a brand new Grade 1, 10k base Grade 1, which has the effect, continuous, this card cannot be ridden and cannot be normal called to the rearguard circle from hand. So it's a bit annoying, it's quite restrictive, but we can superior call this to the field. Thankfully, even through her own effect, which is auto. When this card is discarded from your hand during your turn, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost Soulless 1, and call this card to the back row rearguard circle. So this is an effect that doesn't interact with your ride line, because even if you go into grade 3, you discard it when you are grade 2, so it doesn't work. So this specifically only works with card effects that allow you to discard cards during the main phase or battle phase or anything the moment you are at grade 3. Now, the cards that we know immediately can do this are Bastion during the battle phase, or more importantly, Youthberk with its own effects. We have the new Youthberk Skyfall Arms, which can discard a card from hand during the main phase, thus potentially discarding the card to use it. Or we can use it with the RevolForm Gust, which can discard at the moment where you write that form, so we can potentially recall this to the back row center circle, so you can have another booster for the second Vanguard swing, which can be very nice as seen as a 10k booster, because it makes perfect magic numbers with a 13k or 23k or 33k Vanguard swing. But then we also have another grade 1, which is a game changer for Youthberk, as we got Witch of Accumulation Sequana. And Sequana has the effect, continues a rearguard circle during your turn. If you have a Vanguard with Youthberk in its card name, this unit gets power plus 2k. Again, a 10k booster. Very important, because if we use this for the Vanguard booster, it's making magic numbers with your 13k base. But then it also has the effect, auto rearguard circle. When your unit is placed on the Vanguard circle by the RevolVdress ability, cost, put this unit into your soul, choose one of your Vanguards, and increase or decrease its drive to 1 until the end of turn. So it makes your RevolVdress units into single drive Vanguard swings, which is very important, because with the RevolVdress ability, you give the new unit -2 drive checks, so they have 0 drive checks. With this grade 1, you turn that back to 1 drive check, so you actually are going to get more Vanguard pressure. And the interesting thing about this is that this card goes towards the soul, so it opens up potentially the back row center circle. So you can use this as a 10k booster for Youthberk himself. Then you go into a RevolForm, you use this effect, put it in the soul, then you get an extra drive check on that second form, and if that form happens to be Gust, then you can discard the other Therapy Angel, Soul Blast 1, which you just gain another soul thanks to Sequana, and then you can recall another 10k booster for the second attack. So you can see the synergy between these 2 grade 1s working perfectly in harmony with each other. allowing your Vanguard to be boosted by 10k boosters, thus making a higher threshold of magic numbers, which is really great. But another amazing interaction with this particular great one with Gust is that Gust has the effect to get an additional drive check. And these two effects stack together. So you can use Sequana first, turn the drive from 0 into 1, and then use Gust's ability to discard 1 to turn it into a twin drive because you add an additional drive on that one. So you have 2 drive checks on the second Vanguard swing. So you swing twice, and twice with twin drive. Pretty damn good! But that's of course working with the things we already have. The issue is, that's relying on you going second. What can you do when going first when Zest is just not your style? Well, that's where Tempest comes into play, because we have a brand new Youthberk RevolForm in the form of Youthberk RevolForm Tempest. And Tempest has the effect, although when it is placed on a Vanguard circle, by a RevolDress ability, until the end of turn, all of your front units get power plus 5k. So that's a mini Persona ride already on that. So this could be on your first grid free turn, so I have a mini Persona ride on this, all your other riggers, which is already pretty good. But then cost, count up this 1, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one of your opponent's rear guards with the same grade as either of the revealed cards, and put it on the bottom of the deck. Add all the revealed cards into your hand. If that sounds familiar, this is essentially AURAGEYSER doomed in a RevolDress form. It's literally Leward at this point. We have a transforming mage of a unit that goes into multiple forms. Leward, Drag Driver, Drag Strider, whatever, Drag Fall, what you want to call it. And now we also have freaking AURAGEYSER doomed in a body. This is really good for one counterblast. Yeah, this is a really strong RevolForm, especially if going first, because this could be your setup. Then going into Gust, that could be double twin drive Vanguard plays. And then the discard doesn't mind you as much because you just plussed in a billion the previous turn, which is really good combined with the extra power you're putting on the board, so you are also pressuring your opponent. But then of course it has the usual ability on a Vanguard circle. At the end of your turn, choose a card with your RevolDress ability from your soul and write this rest. So this is just standard practice for any RevolDress unit. So RevolForm Tempest is yeah, it's a great card that's gonna be a game changer for Youthberk. It's probably going to fix the early game, and together with Sequana, oh boy, the late game is looking mighty spicy, because again, you can use Sequana even with Tempest on the first grade free turn to just put more pressure if you want to go that route. Whatever floats your boat, you have a lot of options, and honestly, it's pretty damn good. But that's about basically everything I want to tackle today. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these new promos, if any of these promos have you very excited, or you are very happy with the reveal of the new Youthberk Tempest, as well as the generic support for Youthberk around it with the new grade 1s. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, this video has been brought to you by our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/RankedInsider. You guys are amazing. If you want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/RankedInsider and become a patron today. But with that said, I've been Mr. Timeleap, and I see you guys in the next one!